Joins us now to discuss the emotional impacts of this pandemic, especially due to prolonged isolation. She's a psychologist with some insight into how to best navigate these unprecedented times. So, doctor, it's a pleasure having you on this program, especially because usually the holidays are a time for a lot of people to let loose, just kind of look to the good things. But even this year, there are some complications with that. Does that worry you?
It absolutely worries me. Alex, isolation and loneliness were a public health crisis before the pandemic. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, isolation and loneliness is considered more deadly than obesity, and it's linked to a weakened immune system, heart attack, stroke, and even early death.
I mean, that's amazing to hear right there, because I was just talking about this before this even came to the shores of the United States. We were dealing with an opioid epidemic. We were dealing with men, for example, committing suicide at great rates. Women, for example, also dealing with depression. I mean, this country was dealing with something even before the coronavirus came to its shores. So what do you think is the heart of that? What do you think is fueling it? Is it just because it doesn't get the right attention?
Alex, I'm going to share something with you that none of your viewers have heard before. This is a breakthrough in the neurosciences. We share 7 drives in common with all mammals: lust, love, aggression, territoriality, attachment. But one of the most important ones is called foraging. That's when you go out and explore the world. That's when you let your dog off a leash and it goes and sniffs and explores the field. So think about all these Americans staying home during the pandemic, not going to be with their loved ones. That's going to shut down 3 of our major biological drives: attachment. We're not going to sit at the table with our loved ones. Playfulness. What do we do on Thanksgiving? We don't play. And foraging. It's what teenagers do when they go to the mall and they run around on the streets. They go and explore their world. So this is what is happening to all of us. 3 major drives are being shut down. Not just the economy, but our psychological systems are at threat.
And I think that's very well said, because, for example, when we talk about lockdowns, I understand that we do have to address the public health concerns. But when you do that, you're not only taking away someone's income, but you're taking away their livelihood to some degree. Their reason for getting up in the morning and going and doing what they love or doing what they have to do in order to make sure that their families are taken care of. But Americans right now are being asked to do something that they haven't been asked to do in their entire lives, and that's not do those things. Stay at home, make sure that you're preventing the spread of this virus, but there could be some long-term effects to that. Am I wrong?
Alex, there are absolutely long-term effects. There are rippling, negative, cascading effects economically, psychologically, socially. We know that domestic violence is on the rise, alcoholism, mental disorders, seasonal affective disorder. We're heading into the winter months. Alex, I cannot find a psychiatrist to see my patients who need medication. All my colleagues are overwhelmed and overrun. Now, on the other hand, you talk about the long-term effects. We do have something called neuroplasticity, meaning that our brains change and grow throughout the lifespan. So we all have what's called negative neuroplasticity right now. We're all being rewired in a negative direction, but we can rewire in a positive direction too if we follow some simple strategies. Go out in nature, take your car for a drive, talk to somebody on the phone, use technology in a healthy way, say a gratitude prayer every day, connect with loved ones in ways that you find possible.
And you bring up the rewiring of the brain, and I think that's really important, because I think that's why a lot of people have concerns about schools closing right now, is because that rewiring is happening at such a developmental age where if kids aren't interacting with their peers or getting the right education, it's hard to rewire that more so in the future, from people that I've talked to that say you form those habits when you're younger, you develop your brain when you're younger too, and it allows you to make those type of adjustments. But I think that advice you gave right there is so important for many people too. It's okay to go out for a jog. It's okay to call a friend, something like that. Make sure that you do stay connected and active in some way, rather than just sitting at home and, well, watching TV is okay if you're watching this show, but other TV, maybe get out there and get some exercise. But Dr. Bethany Marshall, very good advice at a very important time. I really appreciate you coming on the program tonight.
Of course. Thanks, Alex.